The Los Angeles Lakers find themselves at an intriguing crossroads, and today, we're diving into a scenario that might sound far-fetched at first, but could end up becoming a game-changing move depending on how things unfold over the next season. There's a name buzzing in the background again, Walker Kessler. And while he might not be on everyone's radar at the moment, if you're paying close attention to what's going on in Utah and what the Lakers might need moving forward, then Kessler becomes a very real and interesting option to keep an eye on. So let's set the stage. Walker Kessler is only 24 years old, and for anyone who has watched him play, it's clear he's already one of the top defensive big men in the entire league. In some advanced metrics, he's literally second only to Victor Wembanyama when it comes to rim protection. That's not hype, that's production. He's not just blocking shots, he's altering possessions, anchoring the paint, and doing it consistently. Now, imagine having that kind of defensive presence in a Lakers uniform. That would be huge. But here's where it gets complicated. Right now, the Lakers are betting big on Deandre Ayton. And for good reason. Ayton isn't just a fill-in center. He's a guy with the physical tools and skill set to be a legit foundational piece. He's athletic, he's mobile, and he can score in multiple ways. He can finish lobs, he's got a decent post game, he can hit mid-range shots, and in the right system, especially alongside someone like Luka Doncic, he might finally unlock that all-star level we've all been waiting for. Ayton is the kind of player that fits perfectly with a star guard. He doesn't always need the ball to be effective, but when you give it to him, he can do something with it. He's not just a passenger in the offense. And that's key, because when you're building a roster around a dominant ball handler like Luka, you need guys who can both play off the ball and create something on their own when the defense collapses. That's why Ayton makes so much sense on paper. He's a big that thrives in pick and roll, but can also go get his own when necessary. But here's the issue that keeps lurking in the background. What if it doesn't work out? What if Deandre Ayton doesn't fit the way everyone hopes? Or worse, what if he plays so well that he ends up pricing himself out of what the Lakers are willing or able to pay next summer? That's when the Walker Kessler conversation gets interesting again. Kessler is the kind of player who could anchor your defense for the next decade. He's already shown what he can do in Utah, and if things continue trending the way they are over there, a little tension, some roster imbalance, maybe even a rebuild, then the Lakers might have an opening to swoop in and get him. But here's the key point. You're not bringing in Walker Kessler to be a backup. That's not how this works. If you're targeting a guy like Kessler, it's because you believe he's going to be your long-term starting center. Now, choosing between Ayton and Kessler isn't as straightforward as it seems. On one hand, you've got Ayton, who's more polished offensively, has more playoff experience, and is ready to contribute to a win-now situation. On the other hand, Kessler gives you elite defense immediately and a whole lot of untapped defensive upside that could be developed over time. But again, that word time becomes a factor. If you're trying to win right now, Ayton probably makes more sense. If you're thinking 5 or 10 years down the line, Kessler might be the better long-term investment. But here's where it gets really tricky. Let's say the Lakers keep Ayton, and he plays well. In fact, let's say he plays great. He fits perfectly with the team, meshes with Luka, and becomes that reliable force in the middle. Well, now you've got to pay him. And while Ayton probably isn't going to command $40 million a year unless he hits another gear, you're still looking at a number in that $25 to $30 million range. That's a serious financial commitment, especially for a team that still needs to fill other holes in the roster. Now flip it. What if Ayton doesn't work out? What if his defense doesn't improve? What if he doesn't buy into the system? Then the Lakers might be back to square one next offseason, looking for another solution at center. And if Kessler is still on the table, maybe that's when you make your move. Maybe that's when you call Utah and say, all right, let's talk. But then there's the cost. Because even if Kessler is available, he's not going to come cheap. There are going to be other teams in the mix. Boston, for one, has already shown interest. And as teams start to retool for the next phase of their own championship windows, a player like Kessler becomes very attractive, especially because of his contract situation. He's young, he's affordable for now, and he's exactly the kind of modern defensive anchor every team wants. So the question becomes, is it worth using assets now, picks, young players, rotation pieces, to bring in a guy like Kessler when you already have Ayton? especially when the roster still has other pressing needs. To me, that's where it doesn't make sense. Not right now. If you're the Lakers, you've got to prioritize depth, perimeter defense, shooting, all the things that will help maximize this current core. Trading for Kessler now might feel like a smart insurance policy, but if it means weakening the rest of the roster, it could end up hurting more than helping. There's also a philosophical layer to this. You don't want to bring in a young guy like Kessler and put him in a weird situation where he's stuck behind Ayton, not getting real minutes, and not developing. That's not good for the player, and it's not good asset management. You either commit to him as your starting big, or you pass. There's no middle ground. And yet, there's always that temptation. Because when you watch Kessler on the defensive end, when you see the timing, the footwork, the instincts, it's hard not to imagine what that would look like next to Anthony Davis. Two elite shot blockers controlling the paint? That would be terrifying for opposing offenses. You'd basically be building a wall around the rim. Good luck getting anything easy in the lane. And while Davis may not be the long-term option at the 4 or 5 in the short term, that combo could create serious havoc. Of course, all of this hinges on timing. If the Lakers do well this season, if Ayton thrives, then you probably ride it out. You lock him in with a new contract, and you move forward. But if things go sideways, if Ayton struggles or decides to walk in free agency, then Walker Kessler suddenly moves from plan C to plan A. And look, even from a financial standpoint, there's logic here. If Ayton wants 35 or 40 million and Kessler is available for closer to 20, you gotta weigh that. Not just in terms of talent, but roster flexibility. Saving 15 to 20 million on your center could allow you to add 2 or 3 solid rotation pieces elsewhere. In today's NBA, that flexibility matters. It's not just about having stars, it's about having a complete team that can win in the playoffs. Now, to be clear, none of this is a knock on Deandre Ayton. In fact, there's a strong argument to be made that this is the ideal situation for him. Playing with Luka, being in a market like Los Angeles, having a coaching staff that believes in him, this might be the perfect setup for Ayton to finally hit his stride. And if that happens, all of this talk about Walker Kessler becomes irrelevant. But that's the beauty of it. The Lakers finally have options. Real, viable long-term options. If Ayton delivers, they're set. If not, there's a guy out there, young, hungry, and defensively elite, who might be ready to step in and become the center of the future. And let's not forget, even Kessler's offensive game is coming along. He's not just a shot blocker. He can finish lobs, he's starting to stretch the floor a little bit, and he's shown flashes of being able to make plays out of the post. With the right development, you're looking at a potential two-way monster. Now, let's go a little deeper into the nuances of what Walker Kessler truly brings to the table, and why. Even if the Lakers aren't actively pursuing him right now, his profile is the type every contending team should at least have circled on their radar. Because this isn't just about filling a roster spot or adding a nice backup. It's about thinking strategically, not just for this season, but for the seasons to come. When you talk about interior defense, especially in the context of the modern NBA, where spacing and shooting dominate the offensive structure, guys like Kessler become invaluable. Not every team has a true anchor, a presence that alters shots simply by standing in the paint. Walker Kessler has that rare skill set. He doesn't need to be chasing highlight blocks or padding his stats. He impacts the game in subtle, intelligent ways. His timing is elite. His positioning is textbook. And most importantly, he doesn't gamble. He defends with discipline. That's not always something you get from young bigs. Many of them get caught up in chasing blocks and end up in foul trouble or out of position. But Kessler, even in his early 20s, already plays with a veteran's mentality on the defensive end. That's rare, and that's why coaches love him, because you can plug him in and your defense improves instantly. No special schemes required. Now, here's something that often gets overlooked in these discussions. Fit. Not just talent, but fit. Because the truth is, you can have all the talent in the world, but if it doesn't mesh with the rest of your roster, it's wasted. And while Ayton might be the better scorer and the more versatile offensive threat right now, Kessler is the guy who could potentially fit better with the kind of identity the Lakers have historically leaned into: toughness, defense, grit. Think about it. The most successful Lakers teams always had a defensive identity. Whether it was Kareem and Cooper, Shaq and Kobe, Powell and Bynum, or even a recent championship run with Anthony Davis anchoring the paint, the DNA was always the same. Protect the rim, defend like hell, and make the offense easier by getting stops. Kessler checks that box better than almost any young center in the league. Now let's look at the other side, offense. This is where the real debate begins. Can Kessler do enough on the offensive end to stay on the floor in the playoffs? That's always the litmus test for bigs. Because in the postseason, teams will scheme you off the court if you can't hold your own offensively. The encouraging thing with Kessler is that he's not just a one-dimensional player. Yes, his bread and butter is defense, but he's shown real signs of growth on the offensive side. He finishes well around the rim. He's got soft hands, can catch tough passes, and convert in traffic. He's not a black hole on offense. He moves well without the ball. He's a reliable lob threat, and he's starting to experiment with that mid-range jumper. There's even been moments where Utah has used him as a decision-maker in the post, catching the ball, facing up, reading the floor, and making the right pass. That kind of feel is hard to teach. It suggests a player who isn't just reacting, but thinking the game. And that's where the upside starts to become really exciting. But again, it comes back to timelines. Because as high as Kessler's ceiling might be, he's not there yet. And the Lakers, right now, aren't in the business of waiting. They're trying to win today. LeBron James is in the final stages of his career. Anthony Davis, while still elite, has dealt with injuries that could make any long-term plan built around him a bit risky. So, the urgency is real. That's why Ayton makes so much sense for right now. He doesn't need development. He just needs a system and a role that fits. And playing next to Luka could bring out the very best in him. But the possibility of losing Ayton after just 1 year is what opens the door to conversations like this. Because if Ayton walks or demands more than the Lakers can realistically give, then you're suddenly scrambling to find a solution. And that's where the value of having options becomes so important. You don't want to be reactive. You want to have a plan B, even a plan C. And Walker Kessler, he could very well be that. Of course, the money matters too. Let's be honest, everything in this league is about cap flexibility. If Ayton ends up commanding a massive extension, and you don't have the flexibility to build around him, then you have to look at alternatives. If Kessler's next deal falls in that $18 to $22 million range, that gives you some breathing room to address other parts of the roster. You could retain key role players, invest in more shooting, bring in a veteran point guard, things that really matter when the playoffs roll around. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on. Los Angeles. A wave of excitement and curiosity is sweeping through the NBA as whispers around the league suggest the Lakers may have just secured one of their most intriguing prospects in years. Lithuanian guard Arnes Velika, a player whose reputation has been steadily building across European courts, is reportedly set to join the storied franchise on a staggering 5-year contract. While nothing has been officially confirmed, sources close to the team hint that the Lakers are betting big on the 22-year-old's potential to make an immediate impact. Velika, known for his sharp court vision and fearless playmaking, has been turning heads in Lithuania and beyond. Analysts say his style combines European precision with flashes of the creativity NBA fans crave. His reported arrival in Los Angeles has sparked speculation among insiders. Could he be the missing piece in a Lakers lineup looking to recapture championship glory, or is this a high-risk, high-reward gamble by management? The sheer length of the contract, if true, signals a long-term belief in his development, suggesting the Lakers see Velika not just as a bench contributor, but as a potential cornerstone for the next era. Fans have flooded social media with mixed reactions. Some are thrilled at the prospect of seeing an international talent flourish in Hollywood, drawing comparisons to past European imports who became NBA stars. Others are more cautious, questioning whether a player who has yet to prove himself on American soil can thrive under the intense spotlight of Los Angeles. Rumors also hint that the Lakers front office is eager to mold Velika into a dual-threat guard, capable of orchestrating the offense while also adding a reliable scoring punch, a rare combination that could make him a standout in the West. While the official announcement has yet to land, The chatter around VELICKA's arrival has already transformed the Lakers' offseason narrative. Every pickup and trade rumor now seems to orbit the question: how will Arnes Velika fit into a team hungry for redemption and eager to climb back to the top of the NBA hierarchy? Only time will tell if this gamble pays off, but one thing is certain. The Lakers have just given fans a storyline that promises drama, intrigue, and potentially a new chapter in the franchise's illustrious history. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.